Hello, this is 21 Questions. It's a trivia podcast. My name is Mike. I run a business called Trivia Tribe. We do live trivia shows. We do this podcast. Let's go. Question 1. In blackjack, which card has 2 possible values? That'd be the ace. It can count as 1 or 11. Question 2. Which TV show starred Angela Lansbury as Jessica Fletcher? That's Murder, She Wrote. Question 3. Which one of these is an illegal drug in Australia and I imagine most places around the world? GHD or GHB? That's GHB, but I've got a friend who says that for what she paid for her GHD, that should be illegal too. GHB standing for gamma hydroxybutyric acid and GHD being, I understand, an overpriced hair straightener. Good-o. Question 4 is a true or false, and it's a player question. Neil from Auckland in New Zealand sent me true or false. A 74-year-old man from Houston, Texas, has racked up 50 million views on YouTube in the last few months with his novelty song, The Argentinian Football Team Can Kiss My Butt. Is that true? Is that false? It's actually false. Neil says he just made it up, which I respect because I do that sometimes too for the true false. Just make up a question, see what people think. Question 5, finish off this advertising slogan for a cosmetics company. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline, GHD hair straighteners and Maybelline. I know so much about the topics in today's podcast. Question 6. With which sport is Cadel Evans associated? Cadel Evans, he's the Aussie cyclist who won the Tour de France in 2011. Tour de France has just finished as I record this, so by the time this episode is published, it will be old and ancient news. Question 7. The line, "You can't handle the truth," is spoken by which actor in 1992's A Few Good Men? That'll be Jack Nicholson. That is an excellent movie. After question 7, we do the first clues for the Who Am I for the ep. Who am I? I am an American actress born in 1958. After high school, I worked various jobs and eventually realized I wanted to act. I entered a local beauty pageant not because I especially thought I would win, but because it was a way to meet an acting agent who was one of the judges. As it happens, I did win that title, and it opened the door to my very first small TV roles. I played the female lead in the sequel to a huge 1970s musical. It was supposed to be my breakout role, but the movie bombed. Do you know who that is yet? This is a famous person. I think you will know by the end. More clues coming up after question 14 and again after question 20. For now, though, question 8, John Major, Theresa May and Gordon Brown are all past prime ministers of which country? That'd be England. Question 9. Does the word prudent mean A, full of good judgment and common sense, or B, reckless and unplanned? Prudent. Prudent means exercising good judgment and common sense. That's A. Question 10. Which New Zealand band was formed in 1972 and had hits with I See Red, I Got You, and History Never Repeats? That's Split Enz. 3 bangers right there. That's right, I'm 58 years old and sometimes I say bangers. Question 11 is another true or false. True or false? The currency of Vietnam is known as the dong. That's actually true. Yep. If you go into a shop in Vietnam to buy, say, bread and milk, you would whip out your dong to pay for it. Good. Question 12. Captain Wilton Parmenter was the bumbling leader of a military outpost in which 1960s TV sitcom? That'd be F Troop, and F Troop is such a good show. When I started to teach my son Jake the family business being comedy when he was 5 or 6 years old, the first sitcom I ever showed him was F Troop. Question 13. In religion, What starting with M is a sacred word or phrase repeated by Buddhists during meditation? Also the name of a chain of hotels in Australia and perhaps around the world. That'd be Mantra. Question 14. At the movies now, how many times has Sylvester Stallone played John Rambo on the big screen? He's now made 5 Rambo movies. There was First Blood in 1982, Rambo First Blood Part 2 in 1985, there was Rambo 3 in 1988, and Rambo 2008, and then Rambo Last Blood that came out in 2019. I've only seen the first one and I don't remember it all that well. More clues now for the Who Am I. If you remember the American actress, the main clue I gave you was that she was in the sequel to a huge 1970s musical, but the sequel didn't do all that well and her career did not take off the way they thought it would. Who am I? In 1983, I played a cocaine-fueled gangster's wife opposite Al Pacino in Scarface. From there, I built a run of acclaimed performances through the 80s, earning back-to-back Oscar nominations for the period drama Dangerous Liaisons and for playing a nightclub singer in The Fabulous Baker Boys. Now that's getting a whole lot easier now, wouldn't you say? Final clues after question 20. For now though, question 15, and it's a sport question. Which country did Nasser Hussain represent in cricket? Nasser Hussain was the English captain for a time. In fact, I well remember the Brisbane test of, would have been maybe the early 90s. I'm not exactly sure, but whenever it was, he won the toss and had the genius brainwave to bowl first rather than bat first, which is what every team does at the Gabba. This is a lot of cricket talk for non-cricket fans, but it's a happy memory, so go with me here. He made England bowl. That was a boo-boo. At the end of the day, Australia were like 1 or 2 out for 7,000 million runs, and the media were calling him, instead of Nasser Hussain, Nasser Insane. Delightful. Question 16 is a player question. JT, that's all I know. His name is, or her, is just JT, but sent in. Which African country is associated with the name the Rainbow Nation? That's South Africa, so dubbed by Archbishop Desmond Tutu. Question 17, still on geography now. Which country was formerly known as East Pakistan? It's a country that starts with B, if that helps. That'd be Bangladesh. Question 18, it's a maths question, be afraid. In maths, what is half of a quarter? That's an eighth. Are you all right? Some people just freak out when it's maths. Question 19 on this podcast is always a still alive or not so much. I give you a name and you decide if you think that person is still alive or not so much. This ep, Bob Seger. Bob Seger had hits with Against the Wind, Night Moves and Old Time Rock and Roll. Most people know that one. Is Bob Seger still alive or not so much? Bob Seger. He's still alive. He recently turned 81 and is apparently still doing shows. And speaking of musicians, question 20 is always a music question. Which 80s pop group took its name from a character in the science fiction film Barbarella? That's Duran Duran with Simon Le Bon out the front. Final clues now for the Who Am I? It was the American actress, Fabulous Baker Boys, Dangerous Liaisons, and I'm going to say now, Grease 2 was the sequel to the movie that did not do well, but just quietly, I liked. Anyway, who am I? In 1992, I played Catwoman in Batman Returns, and more recently, I found a whole new generation of fans playing Janet Van Dyne, I imagine it's pronounced, in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Avengers Endgame. My first name is Michelle. I am Michelle Pfeiffer. Alrighty, well done. Now, that is 21 questions done for another episode. If you'd like to send me a player question, I'm going to need a heap of them coming up, some for episode number 100, but I'm using 2 or 3 every single episode along the way now. If you'd like to send me one of those, do that please. 2 ways you can get it to me: via the Facebook page, 21 Questions by Trivia Tribe on Facebook, or you can email me direct, mike@triviatribe.com.au. Fantastic. Also, if you could rate or review this podcast on whatever app you're listening to, that'd be great. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could like it, if that's a thing you do on YouTube, or put a little comment in or something, that would help with the algorithm, I'd appreciate that. This podcast comes out every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Thank you very much for playing along. Meet me back here in a couple of days. We'll have another crack at it. I've been Mike van Acker. I love you. Catch you next time.